Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? Welcome to another episode. I think we're up to 133. Welcome to episode 133 of Cliff Notes Live. Now, I can see it now. I'm going to be like 80 years old still doing that show. I'm just like, welcome to episode 2428. We'll see. Yeah, that would be interesting, right? Especially if some of y'all are still out there following along and chatting with me every Monday night as well. That would be interesting. I can think of a lot worse ways to spend a Monday night. It'd be a fantastic way to know that I get to do this for the next 20 years or whatever. Hope y'all are doing 20 years, something like that. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Hope you're indoors, because if you're anywhere close to Houston and Texas, man, it is hot. I talked about Indiana Jones last week and the sun shining up. It's only getting worse. Shouldn't be surprised. June 21st. What is that, Wednesday? The start of summer. Now, summer came a little early here, but we're used to it down here, right? It's supposed to be hot in Texas. But that's swimming pools back in the backyard and staying indoors with the cold AC and maybe an ice cold lemonade. That is the way to do it. So I hope you are doing well. Before I go any further, a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV, especially love you guys that are out here with me every Monday evening. We'll just go ahead and get this out right now. For those of you who may be new, and I know some of y'all watch it on replay as opposed to live as well. First off, if you're watching live, feel free to jump on these comments. So we're open tonight. We're open for anything. Any questions you got, throw them out there. Big Brother, reality TV, well, whatever else you want to talk about, y'all throw it out here. I welcome that. But for those of you watching on replay as well, I haven't forgotten y'all. Thank y'all as well. For all of you, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you can go out to my YouTube channel, hit subscribe. You can turn on notifications, which means anytime I drop a new video, and Big Brother is coming up, finally, you'll get notifications when a new video comes out or when I'm getting ready to do this show. And while you're up there, I like the thumbs up, right? You can always hit the thumbs up. I guess it helps with the algorithms, but even if it doesn't, seeing those thumbs up, it kind of helps with me. I appreciate you guys so much, though. So thank you so much. All right. With all that being said, before we get anything else, I was just going to go out and see who was out here, because I did notice earlier that a few of y'all popped on pretty early. I've been having your little conversation for a while before we even started. I love seeing it. I am glad that we got a little bit of a family over here and everyone can talk to each other. And I don't know, just it becomes a habit. It becomes a routine, right? And I love that. So who do we have out here? Ma is the first one out here. Ma, how are you doing? You graduates, you. And Brian Hostetler as well. Mark Taylor, Marilyn Sutherland, Maureen Carroll, Jake the Horror Movie Geek, Keith Franken. I love seeing all these names out here. Michelle Moore. Let's see who else. Cindy Hire. Hey, Cindy, how are you? And Noah Lemon, Amanda Lowe. All right. And that Vicky Stone. Oh, I'm going to forget you, Vicky. And Andy W. as well. And I think that may be about it. If I missed any of y'all, holler and let me know. I'll give you a shout out here in a little bit. But welcome to all of you guys. Yeah, let's see. System's going a little slow. There it is. Before we go any further, let me look at a few of those comments that we had on here real quick. Let's see. All right. Moss saying, moment of silence for Cliff Dads. Yeah, Father's Day. So I did a little posting for my dad yesterday. Thank you so much, Ma. And then Jake Horror Movie Geek is saying, saw your post on Instagram. Yeah, I did that yesterday. Thank you. You and your dad look so much alike. Awesome pics. Well, thank you, Jake. I take that as a huge compliment. I actually do look very much like my dad. We both had blonde hair as kids, blue eyes, still have the blue eyes, body shape, double chins, everything about the two of us are the same. I remember one point in time, guys, probably like 9 years old or so, swimming out in a swimming pool, playing alligator shark with my dad or something. I remember asking my dad everything. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? Wanting to know all this information, because I remember thinking, I want to be exactly that when I'm older. I want to be the same weight. I want to be the same height, everything just like my dad. Well, height-wise, we're about the same, 6'1" or so. Weight-wise, I caught up to him and went a little bit over. But, yeah, I remember that spot in time so well. But, yeah, my dad and I are very much alike, a little bit of a showman in both of us. So thank you. Thank you for that. It's nice putting those pictures out of him. It's interesting. I lost him right before, just a few months before I went on Big Brother, right like a month before I got cast, a month and a few weeks before I showed up for the casting call. And then I got cast, and it was fantastic because having lost my dad, my mom was at home, and y'all see her out here every once in a while. So she was at home. She got to spend a lot of time watching TV, watching me sleep and do it. She saw me more that summer than she'd seen me in quite a few years. She and my wife both. So, well, Sharon sees me all the time, but y'all know what I mean. So it was a nice little distraction, things to keep everyone talking and interacting and everything while I was inside the house. And I know he was watching over me. I have a feeling he was helping me guide that ball down that ramp on my battle back competition a little bit. Mark, let's see, what else do we have on here? Yeah, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. I had a great Father's Day. Well, I'll talk about that in a second because I want to look at some of these other comments real quick, if I could. All right, let's see. Michelle Moore saying, can you say the alphabet backwards? For those of you who don't know, as part of the casting, it was so funny. As part of the casting, I was asked to provide some fun facts, some things that maybe would be unique about myself. And so I start trying to think, I mean, when someone says that, what do you respond back as far as what makes you unique? And they actually sent an example, said, do something like this. The example they sent to me was the one that Caitlin Herman had sent from the season before, her fun facts. I remember one of her fun facts was that she sleeps with her eyes open, which creeps people out. I was thinking, that, yeah, she creeped me out as well if she did that. I love Caitlin, but they said that. So I was out thinking, what can I offer up as my unique facts? One of them was that I know how to say the alphabet backwards. And let me see if I can do it right off the cuff right now. See if I can still do it. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLJKIHGFEDCBA. I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. They asked me during production, I said, Cliff, why did you learn that? Why in the world do you know how to do that? I said, just so if anyone asks if I have a hidden talent, I've always had that in my back pocket. Ever since I was in high school, I started doing that. So I said, just in case. And guess what? It's only taken 40 years or so. And here I am with the example to give to you guys. But I told them that. I told them that my grandmother had taught me to drive when I was like 7 or 8 years old. They had kind of a place out in the country. And so I was too short to reach the gas pedals, but I could sit in her lap, turn the steering wheel, and drive the car up to their house along this old dirt road. So I learned how to drive as a very small kid. And I think the other thing I said was that I had once swum with alligators. Over in Louisiana, I had an aunt and uncle. My brother and I were big into an endurance swimming, trying to swim as far as we could. One time we went out right in the middle, the far side of this lake, fishermen everywhere. My brother and I jumped in the water. My dad was in a boat, so in case we got tired or anything, he was right there with life jackets and all that. We both jumped in the water. We started swimming. We got to the far side of the lake where my grandparents and everyone else was. And they started yelling, saying, what in the world are you doing? Well, we wanted to swim across the lake. They said, why'd you jump right in the middle of all those alligator hunters? Well, we thought they were just fishermen. No, y'all jumped right in the middle of swamps where all the alligators are. They're hunting alligators, and y'all jumped right in the middle of them. Well, you know what? I may have swum a little bit faster that particular day if I'd known there were alligators in that water. I'm just glad I swam a little faster than my brother, but they left us alone. I guess we were an appetizer. We weren't the main course for those gators back then, but those are the 3 fun facts I put down, and I was asked about all 3 of them throughout my whole casting process. So you never know. They're looking for unique people when they do that casting. All right, what else do we have on here? Maureen is saying, watching from home this week instead of ER, doing better now. Maureen, I'm so glad. I remember you saying that last week. It's always nice to be back at home after you spend a little time in the ER, doctor's office, hospital, anything else, right? Come home, find your own comfortable couch or chair, relax and all that stuff. I'm glad you're back home. I'm glad you were able to, thank God for all the medical advances everyone we have. So, but I'm glad everything's going better. I'm glad you're home watching a little bit more laid back, right? I imagine so. Keith Franken saying, had first interview today. Bob Evans. All right, Keith. I love me some steaks. I've had a few Bob Evans before, so good. I hope it all goes well for you. And heck, let me know where you're at. You never know if I'm if I'm traveling anywhere close, I'll pull in, and it won't be for the steaks. It'll be to say hello. but I may get a steak on the side as well. I don't know how many of you know it, but there's Big Tex Steakhouse, which is on the old Route 66. I don't know what the highway is called now, but it goes through Amarillo, Texas, so up in the very panhandle, far north little panhandle part of Texas, cuts across from Oklahoma and then New Mexico. Well, outside Amarillo is Big Tex Steakhouse. They have a 72-ounce steak, and if you can eat it and the salad and the baked potato and all the fixings and everything they have with that thing, if you can eat it in under, I think, 30 minutes, you get it for free. Otherwise, you pay $70 or something. It's a lot. And I've eaten there once or twice. Where you eat, if you're doing the competition, it's an elevated table. They've got lights everywhere. They've got webcam cameras set up so people can watch that aren't actually there. It's a big deal. Everyone's watching you. You got a clock in front of you. I didn't do it. I feel like if I'm going to eat a 72-ounce steak, I need to prepare. How do you prepare? I don't know, go on Survivor for a month and a half or something. That's probably the best way to do it. Would your stomach start shrinking if you went that long? I don't know the best way, but I've never tried it myself, but I've always been tempted. I think next time I go up to Amarillo, I may do it. Hey, maybe I'll do it on a Monday night instead of a regular Cliff Notes. Y'all can just watch me eating steak for 30 minutes and cheer me on. Give me a little incentive or something. But I just saw a little clip. They had a guy who just did it in, I want to say 6 minutes and 20 seconds. That works out to, I don't know, what does that work out to? An ounce every 3 seconds or so of steak. You don't even swallow, I think. I force it. I don't know how someone would eat it that quick. I think if it came down to it, I could probably eat a steak in 72-ounce steak, maybe in 30 minutes. That's a lot of meat. But I kind of feel like maybe I could do it. But ain't no way in the world I could do it in 6 minutes or 10 minutes or 15. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible that we live in such a great country that they have eating competitions. In some countries, eating competitions are a whole different animal, right? That's a real animal too. So anyway, I just thought that out there. You never know where my mind's going to take me. But congratulations on your first interview. Let me know how it goes. We're all cheering for you. You know that, right? All right, Mark Taylor saying, what is the number one constant to winning Big Brother? You know, every season's different. I think I'm going to give you two of them. I'll give you the secondary, I think. Focus on what you do well. I knew I wasn't going to be the comp beast in there, although I won a few competitions, but you aren't going to win everything. Some people are going to be better at the competitions than others. So figure out what you do well and make sure you kind of match your game to that. With me, it was social game. Even if I won a few competitions, I knew I was going to live or die based on my relationships I developed in the house. So I really focused a lot on that. But probably even more important than that in terms of winning Big Brother is flexibility. Every season's going to be different. We don't know what 25 is going to be like. We've heard it's all newbies. If you have a returning cast, it's going to be a different strategy you're going to have to deal with. If you get in there's two alliances about the same size, it's going to be a different strategy than if you got a few people here or there and some big alliance like I had during my season. You've got to go in there and whatever strategy you've started off thinking you're going to use, you got to be able to pivot on a dime and change it all up. And I feel like I did that pretty well. I was definitely not part of the big group in the beginning, so I had to work differently. But then once I started developing a little bit of a relationship with people, I started seeing the big group falling apart. I had to jump in quick and try to figure out who was going to come out on top as that alliance fell apart and work some partnerships with them and everything. So I think flexibility is the most important thing. But the secondary is just do what you do best, right? Don't try to. There's so many people I think that when they try out for these shows, they say, I'm going to be the villain or I'm going to be the badass or something. Do y'all know that Nicole went in thinking she was going to be the badass New York girl? That's the way she tried to sell herself during casting and all of that. And I think the producers must have seen right through that. They probably said, this girl is the badass New Yorker. Yeah, that's kind of cute because we know that's not really Nicole. I think they knew, but that's what she thought she was going to be portrayed as when she came in, had a leather jacket and all of that. Nah, that's not the way it worked out. So play who you are, be who you are, and you got to be flexible. I think it's the key. All right, Mark's saying, who is the GOAT of the challenge? Chicken, bananas, or someone else? I don't know. Maybe bananas, only because when you ask someone the challenge, some people don't. Some people are like, who, what, is it? Others know it so well, but the casual fan, who do they say? Johnny Bananas probably, maybe CT, maybe Wes. I mean, those are the three that I'm going to throw out maybe as my top choices. I kind of like Devin. I've always kind of liked Devin, even though he hates Big Brother players. And strategy wise, I've always admired the way he plays the game. I'd love to go out the house with him because I would poke him as much as he poked me, and we could have some fun. Because I don't think either one of us would take it seriously, but yeah, I'll say Johnny Bananas just because he seems to be the face of the challenge to some degree. I'm ready for some more challenge. I'm ready for, I don't want to say old school, but just this world challenge and everything else, and all us from the other reality shows that are coming on and on. That's fine and dandy, but I kind of like just the little bit more old school with the people who've done it year after year and everything. I saw an Instagram post from Nelson just a day or two. Nelson was been on how many seasons? A lot of seasons of the challenge. He was in a car wreck. I almost killed him. A car caught fire. They had to pull him. Someone pulled him out of I think a football player, professional athlete, pulled him out of the car, rescued him. He had all kinds of rehab. I saw him walking for the first time. They said it's going to take 6 months. He's 3 months in already walking very tenderly, very slowly. But yeah, the kind of person that competes in the challenge is probably not the kind of person that's going to let a physical injury slow them down at all. So he's doing what it takes. But yeah, I'm ready to see Nelson back in the challenge as quick as possible. Props to that guy for fighting every step of the way. All right, Noah Lemon. What was the temperature in Houston today? A friend in Dallas said like 111, so something like that. And Michelle Tuller saying about 101 to 102 with a heat index of 115. That's what I heard. Yeah, Houston was brutal today. Here's what you may or may not know, Noah. Typically, the heat index is at least 10 degrees hotter than what the actual temperature is. And one of the big reasons for that is we're right up against the ocean. So we've got humidity coming in. It's not, everyone says, it's a dry heat when you go up into Dallas and West Texas. It doesn't matter when it gets too hot. But down here, you feel like you're in a freaking sauna, right? Because it's not just hot, but it's hot and the air is just heavy with humidity. You walk out and you immediately start sweating. You walk out, your shirt immediately just is drenched, whether it's with sweat or just the humidity absorbing into it. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. 115, 110. I heard somewhere around there as well. It's enough that when you go outside, you better stay in the shade. You better be wearing a big old hat. These cowboy hats aren't just for show, right? Yeah, we're at that time of the year. It's the hard part is we get used to it after a little while. A month from now, I'll still be griping about the heat, but my body will be used to it. Right now, I'm kind of still acclimating to the weather that we get down here. None of it's as hot as the backyard was in the Big Brother house with that artificial turf. Y'all don't understand how hot it got back there. I know I've said it before, but how hot it got back there with the fake grass, the walls up so you had no breeze blowing through. It was just brutal. And they would sit around the swimming pool. And of course, I had to do the same thing because I had to fit in. So I'd stay out there swimming pool with them. I had SPF 182 or something. It was like SPF 40, I think, or maybe it's 100. It was a lot. I'm covering myself up and down because all I could think is it's boring in this house. It's torturous sometimes having to be in this house with nothing to do for so long. But if I'm stuck in this house and I'm sunburned and I'm peeling and I'm brutally hurting, that's going to be horrific when I'm trying to do a competition or even just laying around with nothing to divert my mind from a sunburn. So I tried to be very careful while I was inside there. Other people, not so much. Man, they're sitting there putting cocoa butter on and things like that and taking full opportunity to get the best possible tan they could. Yeah, I'm a little older, not so much, but yeah, pretty hot. Yeah, pretty hot down here as well. All right, what else do we have on here? Vicky Stone saying, how long were your mom and dad married? They got married in 1961, November. God, I can't remember, November 4th, 7th, something like that, of 61. So what is that? 58 years? Does that sound right? I think so. 40, 61. Yeah, if I'm doing my math correct, 58 years. A long time. Sharon and I, we've got our 33rd coming up later this year. So we've got a long time to go. But yeah, they were married forever. So yeah, it was they were the cornerstone. I mean, our family was it wouldn't have been the same without my mom and my dad, and so yeah, it was lots of amazing memories. All right, Cindy Hire saying going to see Carrie Underwood next Saturday in Vegas. All right, well, you wouldn't have gone wrong with either way you went, but I just feel like she puts on more of a show. You know what I mean, right? A big gala kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. Going to Vegas and seeing Carrie Underwood both. That's got to be a lot of fun. Make sure you take some pictures. Send me a picture too. And you're seeing your daughter as well, right? Or have you already done that? I couldn't remember what the deal was, but that sounds like a fun weekend. So talking about hot and be ready. It's probably gonna be as hot in Vegas as it is down here. So have fun with that. All right. What else do we have on here? A couple more comments, and I'll hit a couple of notes I had. Noah saying, watched a video with funniest Big Brother failures, and Caitlin's puzzle was number one, along with Freddie's Frenchie's week one HOH. We'll start Frenchie. Poor Frenchie. That guy, I love Frenchie. I knew him from before he actually ended up on the show. He had reached out to me and, Instagram DMs and things like that, and had asked me a lot of questions and everything. So I knew who Frenchie was. So I was really cheering for him. And he won his first HOH. Everything's looking good. And then he forgets that it's a 13, I don't remember how theirs was, 11-week season or whatever it was. He thinks that everything has to be done in the span of the first 72 hours. An alliance with everyone, a promise to everyone. He's not going to evict them, it seems like. Now, some of that, for those of you who don't remember, some of it, there was a twist going on that he made some promises about who he was going to go after and things like that. Well, then there were a lot of people that started getting protection because of the twists that were going on that season, and suddenly they weren't eligible. And he ended up having to nominate how many people? I don't know. It was tough for Frenchie. But yeah, you can't play too hard too fast. I'm of the firm opinion, the pre-jury part of that season, you shouldn't be trying to make any big moves. As soon as I say that, remember what I said about being flexible? So whatever I say isn't gospel truth. I just believe that don't make big moves. You try to develop your relationships, your position in the house. Try not to make anyone mad at you. Make sure everyone's mad more at someone else than they are at you for the first half of the season. And then later, when you've got more workable numbers and a better understanding about who is truly loyal to other people versus just saying it, then you can start doing some things here or there. Frenchie made all the decisions as soon as he went in. From a viewer standpoint, incredible drama. Playing the game, not the way I'd necessarily play it, but I love Frenchie. He made it fun, and I was certainly cheering for him. As far as Caitlin, when she couldn't do that puzzle, I felt so bad for her because I was griping beforehand saying, they gave this puzzle just because they want to keep her in the house. She's so entertaining. They made a puzzle that's so basic. Anyone could do it just to let her in the house. And so I really thought she's going to go do it. She's going to come back in. And it's almost like production's interfering by because they don't want her to go. And then she couldn't do the puzzle. And suddenly I went from feeling like she was getting set up to she's getting protection to suddenly thinking she is going to be the saddest person who has ever played this game. The most beat down because of not being able to solve that puzzle. I felt so bad for her. I spent an entire year feeling bad for her. And yet when she showed up in our house, because she showed up, the Haunting of Caitlin Herman was a video competition that we did that I got to participate in. And she showed up in there and she's smiling. She's having fun with the whole concept of the puzzle. I had to do a puzzle, a few more pieces than she had, a lot more pieces than she had. But I realized that when you're under the gun, under pressure and all that, it's a lot harder than it looks like on TV. And the thing I like about Caitlin, well, two things. One, she's always willing to laugh at herself. She's never taken it too seriously. Even if she was hurting inside, on the outside, she always laughed about it. And I think that's the way you've got to deal, not just with Big Brother, but a lot of things in life. You've got to just move on and embrace whatever happened. Good or bad, you make a good decision. You make a stupid decision, move on with it, right? And I feel like she did that. The other thing, did y'all know that Caitlin and I are birthday brothers, sisters, kind of? We both have the same birthday. It's a few years different apart, but we're both April 24th. So she's the one person whose birthday I can always remember from Big Brother. But yeah, I like Caitlin. But yes, the worst fail ever, maybe. But at least her fail wasn't intentional. It wasn't bad gameplay or anything. She just kind of cracked under the pressure. There's other people like Marcellus who just did some boneheaded things that caused them to make those lists. You know, oh, I want to get sent home because I think there's a power. I'm going to be right back. Yeah, those are the ones I'd be embarrassed about. And Survivor has some of them as well. Who was the ice cream guy that had the stick that he thought was a immunity idol, and the woman, I wish I could remember the name, saying that it's just she was so excited because he said he had the immunity, he was going to give it to her and all that. Eric, I think. And he hands it to her, and she said, it's just a stick. How much Survivor has changed from back then where someone actually could look at a stick and think it may be an immunity idol to nowadays they're making the most complex fake immunity idols. And now Survivor's helping them by actually giving them immunity idols. So you can't ever tell what's real or not real. Not sure I'm a huge fan of that. If you want to make a fake immunity idol, go for it. But I don't think the producer should intentionally introduce them. It just complicates it too much. Yeah, what do I know? All right, Vicky saying, did you last longer than any of the older players on different seasons of Big Brother? I lasted longer than most older players on other seasons of Big Brother. Kevin Schlubber from season 19 also made it. He's 19, right? Yeah, 19. He also made it to fourth place. So he and I made it the same spot in the game. I will say that I won a few competitions to keep me alive. I was active. I was proactive in making some decisions. I had the veto during the double eviction. So there's some things I did to help me get to that point. Kevin didn't win. His was more just he kind of made it there just because he didn't offend anyone. But he and I both made it to fourth. I love Kevin. I've seen him a few times, talked about it. It's just different as older guys when we get together because I think we have such a unique experience compared to everyone else that's played Big Brother. So yeah, Kevin's a great guy. I love talking to him. But yeah, Kevin and I both made it to fourth place. And if you go way back to Big Brother 10, I think Jerry, I want to say Jerry Mathers, Jerry O'Connell, neither one of them. Jerry came in third place. Here's the kicker. Jerry came in third place, and he was 73 years old at the time. Former Marines. He was a badass. I'll certainly give that. But I also say this. Season 10 of Big Brother compared to season 21 of Big Brother, or even season 19 of Big Brother. Huge difference in the type of competitions that we had. Back in season 10, there were a lot more mental competitions, a lot more just kind of silly, you're going to laugh about it type competitions, not as much physical comps as I think that Kevin and I dealt with. So yeah, maybe Jerry had a few steps easier back then, but he played a good game. He was in there with Dan. He called Dan. I had you Jezebel, and he had Remy from New Orleans. If y'all remember her, she was a character too. That was a great season. I love that season, but yeah, he's 73 years old. He left to third place or survived till third place. So there's been a few of us. There's been a lot that went home number 1 or 2 as well. So unfortunately for every one of us that makes it pretty far, there's a couple that don't make it so far. I'm very proud about how far I went. I wish I'd gone just a few spots more. Well, 3 spots more. But yeah, fourth place, I'm pretty proud of. All right, Mr. Knucklehead. Hey, Mr. Knucklehead, I just love saying your name, ID. Saying, first time joining, hello. Well, welcome aboard, Mr. Knucklehead. I hope it's not your second time. Any questions, throw them out here. And the other thing, too, I know someone asked a question last week. I missed it until the very end. I think I may have missed it completely. If I miss a question, feel free to throw it back out there. I'll try to catch up to them, but sometimes it's hard, me talking and trying to read and making sure I don't miss anything. Sometimes I do. It's never intentional. Sometimes I see it after I've already moved on to another topic, and y'all know how it is. But yeah, if you got something you really want to ask, throw it out there, Mr. Knucklehead, and all the rest of you, because I'll catch as many as I can. And if I ever miss anything, feel free to hit me on Instagram or Twitter, DM me. I'm always out there, and I'm always checking those questions. So I'll answer anything I can within reason. You know what I mean. My mom is out there. Sue Hogg, married November 17th, 1961. Okay, so I knew the year. I just wasn't sure. I knew the month. I wasn't sure the day. 57 plus years. Thank you. Coming straight from the expert. My mom and dad, amazing role models for how a marriage should be run and Sharon and I are trying to follow along in their path every step of the way. So yeah, there you go. So they were married in 61. Then a few years later, they had me. I've heard little rumors that if it hadn't been for Kennedy's assassination and all that, I may have been a little bit older, but everyone at the time thought maybe we were getting ready to go to war once we had President Kennedy get shot and days of October with the Cuban Missile Crisis and all of that. So they held off just a little bit before they had me. And so who knows? Who knows how history is going to affect your path going forward? All right. Cindy saying, how far is Austin from Houston? Oh, it's about 2.5, 3 hours. I live kind of on the far side of Houston from Austin, but yeah, I mean, Houston's big. It can take you over an hour to drive from one side to the other. So it depends on where you're starting, but call it 3 hours or so. You got Houston, you got Dallas-Fort Worth, about 4.5 hours to the north. And then you've got Austin and San Antonio, 2.5, 3 hours to the west. They form kind of a nice little golden triangle of the big cities of Texas. My son's over in Austin, he and his wife. So we'll be heading over there one of these weekends to visit with them and say howdy and all of that. It's great for Father's Day. My son came in, I had him. My daughter was over here. So I had the kids here celebrating Father's Day together and had a little barbecue. Love me some barbecue. I ate some barbecue, later had some mod pizza, and best part was just having the family all together again. So that was a lot of fun. I had a fantastic Father's Day. I got some tools for Father's Day, including a pole saw, which is basically a chainsaw on a stick, because I got a big old tree in the backyard I'm going to be cutting down over the next week or so. So if you see me next week and I got a shoulder cast on or big neck brace or something, you'll know that the ladder wasn't quite as sturdy as I thought it was. Stay tuned. We'll find it. That may be a story all in and of itself. Remember hanging from the wall in Big Brother? I didn't do great, but I hung on for a little while. I hung on longer than Jessica. But if I'm up in that tree and I'm falling out of it, I may be making some yells they're going to make Jessica's little yell as she went to the ground sound like nothing at all. Because that would be a lot. We were only 8 feet or so up in the air on those walls. It's a little tough to tell sometimes when you're watching on TV. Little tiny platform, but we weren't that high up, and we had 6 feet worth of padding there. It felt like you were on a gymnastics floor, like a vault mat or something. Yeah, I wasn't too worried about falling from that tree. A little different story. So stay tuned for next week. We'll see. All right, but great Father's Day. Miss Fire saying, how would Bananas do on Big Brother? I don't know. That's really interesting. I think as he's gotten a little bit older, challenges, he doesn't win as many challenges. I think he'd win 1 or 2. He would win enough that people would take him seriously. They wouldn't just discount him as someone we don't have to worry about. It's his social game, right? I feel like he knows how to read people pretty well. He knows he also understands what the producers are looking for on the challenge. Because I've met him, he's a really nice guy, but when you watch him on the show, sometimes he can be a little ruthless. He's comfortable about just poking people and kind of getting them fired up a little bit. But what I like about Bananas, which I think would do him well on Big Brother as well, is that sometimes he's the whisperer, and that's what I am. And when I say a whisperer, that means he's not the one who actually takes the big actions, makes the big moves. He just whispers in someone else's ear and gets them to do it. Says, hey, if so-and-so got put on the block, they'd really be pissed, right? Yeah, don't you think? And suddenly you got someone else making that move, and he can just sit back and enjoy the fireworks and everything that happens. And I kind of felt like that's the way I play a lot of board games, the way I sometimes tried to play Big Brother, and try to poke other people and get them doing things as opposed to myself. And I think he would do the same thing. I thought when I went into Big Brother 21, I thought he was going to be on the show because I had heard rumors all spring that maybe Bananas was going to make the transition. He was going to be the first challenge guy to then come on to Big Brother. I would not have been the least bit surprised if I walked in there and he was there. And I already had it figured out. If that was the case, I was going to tell everyone else that I had no clue who he was. I was going to tell him that I had no clue who he was until I got him alone, at which point I would say that huge fan. I know everything about you. I want to work with you because I sure don't want to be working against you. And just I'm not going to tell anyone else, but I know who you are, and let's do something together. And that would have been my approach to Bananas. He wasn't on there. Instead, we got Aquaman Jr. and some other folks. But yeah, I like Bananas. I love watching him play the game. I think he makes it fun for us as a viewer. All right. Amanda saying, did you hear about the submarine that went missing on the way to the Titanic? So scary. This, for those of you who haven't heard, it's on all the news now. I saw it this morning. This little bitty, and they don't call it a submarine, they call it a submergible. I was like, well, what's the difference? A submarine can move to port on its own power. A submergible is something they drop off of another boat. So the more you know, right? But the submersible, I guess that's it, submersible, not submergible. The submersible is little, not huge, little, about the size of a car or something, but it holds 5 people, a pilot and like 4 passengers, and it can drop down to 3,000 meters, however deep the Titanic is on the ocean floor. And so they had these people going down to the bottom to look at the Titanic in person, live, actually be down there looking at it. And they haven't heard from them since yesterday. Like 15 minutes into the journey, suddenly, I guess they lost communication with them. They have no clue what's going on. My understanding is the worst part, we've got rescue units that like NATO runs that help rescue submarine crews, whatever country it is. If it happens in our part of the world, we've got these rescue subs that can help. They only go down to 600 meters, 610 meters. This thing's like 3,000 meters down. So they can't even come close. And they're afraid that this little submarine may have gotten stuck in the wreckage of the Titanic, which, why are you getting that close? I guess if you're paying that much to get it, I'm sure they want to get as absolutely close as possible. But they don't know if it's that or if there was some kind of, it doesn't take much of a crack in a submarine. They say it's like 400 atmospheric pressure. So it's like hitting every inch of your body with a hammer all at once, that kind of pressures. It wouldn't take much of a little crack for that thing to implode under those pressures. They don't know what it is. They just know that they aren't responding to their communications. They've got 96 hours of air plus or minus left when they lost contact, so they don't have much time. Scary stuff. Do you know how much those people paid to go on that little submarine? $200,000 a person. It's a lot of money just to sink down to look at the Titanic. And isn't it interesting? The Titanic, when it sank, had all the richest people in the world. Yeah, they had some immigrants and third-class passengers that were on board as well. But it was the cruise ship when it came out. And they had all kinds of millionaires at the time and, the richest of society on that ship. And it went down and a lot of them were lost. And then here you are with people who obviously have a lot of money if they're paying $200,000 for an 8-hour submarine ride, who now may be mixed in down at the bottom. We don't know yet. Not a clue. It'd be a horrible feeling. They say that light only goes down about 1 kilometer or 2, so 1,000 meters. And from that point on, it is pitch dark. So if something happened and they're sitting on the bottom, there's nothing they can do. Completely dark outside and just waiting and I guess hoping maybe, I don't know if someone could swim down there, or not swim, but go down there with a rope and winch them up. I don't know, but I feel for those people. It's going to be an interesting story. Fingers crossed, but I'll be a little bit nervous. So, yeah, it's interesting. All right, Mark Taylor saying, didn't your year have a wall talker? Can't remember. Yeah, wall yeller, I guess. Yes, we did. And I didn't talk about it while I was in the house. Just as a bit of background, I won't go into huge detail with it, but as a bit of a background, Nicole and myself and Tommy, I think we were the only 3 out in the backyard at the time. It was early evening. I was over in the little patio area talking to Tommy. I guess Nicole was back on the hammock, just maybe talking to family. I don't think anyone else was out there besides the 3 of us. And all of a sudden, I hear this noise. It sounds a little artificial, and I found out later it's because it was coming from through a speaker. But a voice saying, Tommy and Christy know each other, and Tommy has been, they own a fabric or a clothing company and clothing store together also. That's what I heard. Well, then I've heard later that they also then played a clip from Christy's diary room session talking about knowing Tommy and all of that. I didn't hear that because as soon as the first part started, the sirens went off in the backyard and they said it's a lockdown. It's an immediate lockdown. Go inside immediately. This is a lockdown. And then doing all the noise so we couldn't hear. So we all went inside. And so all I had heard was that Christy and Tommy know each other. They own a clothing store together. there was something about that clothing store. I just didn't think that was right. Whether they knew each other or not, I thought, well, that's a possibility. But that was the week that Christy was on the block and Sis was also on the block. And I knew Sis was from the LA area. I assumed that she was like a 1 million+ follower Instagram account. I thought she was a celebrity that had a lot of that kind of influence. So as much as I thought it was possible that Christy and Tommy knew each other, I also thought it was equally likely that it was just someone that wanted to make sure Sis was safe by throwing Christy under the bus and getting her voted out to protect Christy. And so I thought it could be just someone trying to say something that wasn't true. I didn't know. But we got inside. Tommy was all upset that his secret had been blown or that someone had accused him of that. But I told him, I said, Tommy, I'm not going to tell anyone what was said. I don't want outside people interfering with this game. And I didn't. I never, Nick and other people said, what was said, Cliff? And I said, it doesn't have anything to do with the game, so I'm just going to leave it alone. It turns out they did know each other, but it doesn't matter. Even if I'd known at the time, I didn't want someone influencing the game that shouldn't be. I was kind of upset that someone would try to play with our emotions and all that. But yeah, we did have a wall yeller. And I was one of just a handful that heard it, but I wasn't going to let them affect our game. It didn't. Here's the other thing. It didn't really matter. I already knew that Tommy and Christy were like this. Whether they knew each other outside the game or not, it didn't matter. I knew Tommy wasn't sending Christy home. Christy wasn't sending Tommy home, whether they knew each other or not. So it didn't really affect the game. But yeah, we did have one. It was interesting. I was very curious how people outside were going to take that and what they'd maybe seen on TV. All right. Marianne Santa, how hard was it to talk to somebody face to face when you felt or knew that they'd been lying to you? Don't know if I could pull that off. Oh, it was so hard. Here, a perfect example. After I got voted out, won that battle back, came back into the house, Mickey and Holly immediately pulled me into the storage room and gave me this whole song and dance about that was perfect, Cliff. Look, we knew what was happening, but we also knew this was the only way for our plan to work. We didn't want you to go home. We didn't want Nicole to go home. We want the four of us to be working together. And we knew you had so much better chance of winning the battle back and getting back in than Nicole. We voted you out only because we knew that you were going to win and come back in. It was the only way we could protect our game. But we got your back, man. We got your back. And I so much wanted to say, y'all are so full of, anything that involves sending me out the door and hoping I win battle back ain't no bueno for me. I knew they were lying through their teeth. I knew it was just a matter of they didn't really care whether I went home or not. I was just collateral that was unimportant to them. But I couldn't say that because whether I believed them or not, which I didn't, I still wanted to work with them. I at least wanted them to think that I was on board with them. So, I had to just say, oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it wasn't because y'all didn't value my contract. I'm glad that y'all want me on board and this was part of a plan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there's no way. I dealt with that a lot from Tommy and all of them. Every single person in there lies to you at some point or another. You just have to take it. You always have to think. There's a part of me that always would tell myself in the back of my head, don't play the emotional game. Even if you know they're backstabbing you, don't play emotions and yell at them and get in their face and all that, because all that's going to do is push them further apart. Believe or agree with whatever they say, and just keep in the back of the mind that you are now in a better position than they are because you know that they're backstabbing and lying to you. They, on the other hand, think that you're buying it, right? So that should help you out more than it helps them out. So it's all about information in a house. But yes, there were times where I just wanted to say, I'm so tired of hearing this stuff. And you're completely insincere. It shows right through. No one's believing what you're selling whatsoever. But I couldn't. I just had to smile and say, oh, yeah, you're my favorite. I want to make Final Two with you. Of course I do. Yeah, no, that's not the way it works. But you have to. You have to just keep a smiling face all the time and let other people start yelling and screaming and hollering and alienating each other. Cindy's saying, oh, tell us about your background. Yeah, I'd been bad if I did this and didn't tell you about it. I wanted to mention that 4 years ago, almost to the day, actually, it's been a little, I was going to talk about this last week and we got busy with other stuff. The 13th of June of 2019 is the day that I found my key, was snatched from the house, carried over to LA to be in Big Brother. And then the show actually premiered June 25th. There was a week in between, though. We didn't have live feeds on day number one. The show premiered on a Wednesday. I think we went into the house the Tuesday before. So that's the 17th, I think. So I snatched on the 13th, 17th. That's pretty quick. But yeah, something like that. Anyway, they grabbed me on June 13th. This is everything that I had packed while I was waiting. I found my key. They filmed the little promo stuff that you see on the introductions and all that. And then we just had to wait at the house for a little bit. It was my handler who was going to go to the airport with me and all that. He, myself, my wife, and kids all just sitting around for an hour or so until it was time to get in the car and actually go to the airport. So I already had everything packed. And so I think Sharon's the one that took this picture. So you can see this is everything I took with me to the show. I've got, and Miss Fire saying, how many bags does CBS let you pack? All right, well, that I'll show you here. So you see right here, that's my hat box that I've got that had this hat in it. I also had a secondary hat, my straw hat. This is felt. I also have a straw hat, which you can see here. Now, here's the problem. I got to the hotel. They would not let me wear this inside the Big Brother house because they said it was too white and it would cause the cameras to white out or something. It caused the cameras to act up. So they wouldn't let me have that in the house. So I ended up only with this one. But you can see my hat rack or my hat box, my other hat, my Texas boots. I was wearing my other boots, ostrich boots, but I had these boots as well. And then you can see over here the two bags that I had. Let me leaning this way. So I had my Big Brother bag, right? You can't see it because it didn't say Big Brother on the side. They had a little flap that would cover it up. But that's my Big Brother bag. And then back behind that is my full-size suitcase. And that's what I was allowed to pack. And that was it. So basically, I had a little bag, a big bag, and then a few accessory items here or there. So I had everything packed. I get to the airport. The first thing they do is say, "Oh, well, sir, your luggage, your suitcase is incredibly overweight." Well, what do you mean? It's like 50 pounds overweight or something. Because I packed a lot in there. You know, I'm going away for 3.5 months. So I had to pay, I think it was $70 for an overweight fee. And I was just chapped. It's like, yeah, it's already costing me money. I haven't even gone in the house. I'm already losing money here. But I had to pay $70 for overweight luggage. Whatever. It's worth it, I guess. Then later, after the season was over, production found out I had to pay extra, so they reimbursed me. So it worked out. But big old suitcase, flying over to LA in an airplane. I've got my handler next to me. I'm not allowed to talk to anyone for any reason whatsoever. I have to be quiet. At one point when I get on the plane, I can't remember if it was a flight attendant or one of the passengers saw this and said, "Oh, sir, are you a musician?" Because they thought those were cymbals or tambourines or something. I should have said, "Oh, yeah, I'm part of U2 or something." I don't know. I said, no, it's just a hat box. But even that kind of looked at me funny, like, "You're not supposed to be talking, Cliff." All right. So I finally get there. I'm put up at sequester spot, and I'll give y'all more details about that some other day. But I got there, and one of the things that they do is they go through over here. They go through these suitcases. They check everything. There is nothing no contraband allowed in there. All the clothing can't have logos more than a certain size, can't be in certain places. There's a lot to what they do as they search through it. I carried way too much in there. For any of you who are watching who may be going on Big Brother at some point in the future, you don't need to carry 3 pairs of tennis shoes when you go inside that house. I think maybe I had 2 pairs plus my boots. But I had this vision of me having my tennis shoes just wearing out from all these challenges, and halfway through, the soles are flopping back and forth and all. No, that wasn't the case. I would have been fine with just 1 pair of tennis shoes. One thing that y'all may not know is whenever we do these challenges, most of them, not all of them, but a lot of the physical challenges, we have uniforms or clothing, things we wear. Lots of times they would give us tennis shoes as well, especially if it's a competition where you're going to get wet or you're going to get paint all over, things like that. They actually have as part of the costume tennis shoes that you can wear as well. And they're always these black clunky shoes, but sturdy and all of that. And after a competition was over, occasionally I would take those tennis shoes and go back and put them in my suitcase. And I still have a couple of pairs because they didn't take them from me. But you could do that, or you could just take them off outside in the backyard, and production would pick them up later and wash them or do whatever and just reuse them. So there were times where I would get a pair of tennis shoes and it would have our names in them because we all have different size shoes and all that. I'd get my shoe and I'd look in there, and it would also have other people's names taped in there. I know one year, one competition, it was had the same tennis shoes, I think, as Jason. Jason and Whistling at You on the other cowboy. Josh Martinez, I think one time I had some of his tennis shoes. So yeah, it was kind of weird putting on shoes that you knew had already been worn by other people, but also worn by people that, yeah, like, oh, I remember them wearing, this competition or whatever. And so it was kind of cool. But yeah, so they kind of share some shoes, but I had plenty of that. I had plenty of hoodies because it was so hot in there. I way overpacked, but I didn't know. I mean, how are you going to survive for 3.5 months when you have no access to the outside world? So yeah, I had a lot of stuff, but yeah, only 2 bags. Yeah, the Big Brother bag that you see walking in and out of the house, and then the suitcase that has everything else that we need. So yeah, it was cool. So that was me being all ready, prepared, nervous, ready to get on that plane and go live the grand adventure. Shelby Palmer saying, love it. Thank you. I love talking about the background of Big Brother. And when I first came out, I was very careful about not saying anything that's, it's all secret and everything. And I think still to some degree, there's things I can't talk about, but for the most part, they don't care about this. I think people enjoy knowing and watching Big Brother when they know more of the background, right? So it's all said because I love talking about it. And I know as a viewer, the more I know about the background, the better. And so I'm happy to share it with y'all. All right. Mark saying, how many pairs of pants did you take? I took, I think, a couple of blue jeans, which I always, or lots of times, would wear during the eviction ceremonies, going into the house, going out. I had a couple of pairs of blue jeans. I had a pair of khaki Dockers that I was going to use for like the finale show. I ended up wearing blue jeans. I think because I just didn't want to iron. I was so fed up. I was like, I'm not ironing anything. I just want the blue jeans. But I had those, and then I had a couple of pairs of sweatpants just in case it was cold in the house, and I just want something casual to go over my shorts. That's pretty much long pants. Lots of t-shirts. Lots of t-shirts like this. In fact, I think this is one of the shirts I wore in the house with overshirts, so I could kind of change my look a little bit with a limited number of clothes. So a lot of accessories, things like that. Miss Fire saying, right now, potential contestants are being sequestered. I know. Isn't that cool? Well, maybe it's a little early, but maybe not. If the show starts August 2nd, and I don't know I think that's a live premiere, but I don't know for certain. Even with COVID and everything else, you may be looking middle of July or something before they actually go in. So I guarantee there's a lot of people probably out right now shopping for clothes that don't have big logos and trying to figure out what they can do inside that house and all of that. It's an exciting time for a handful of people out there right now. It's so weird with the season starting so much later than my season. Because with me, summer, I didn't have a chance to enjoy summer. I think, if I recall, we did Father's Day on a Sunday, and they snatched me that very next week. So pretty close to that. Because I remember getting things for Father's Day that I was going to use inside the house, a couple extra shirts and things like that. Now you spend all your summer getting ready. I heard today when I was doing some research, this season of Big Brother isn't going to be over until the 1st of November. That is late in the year. Are they going to be out around the swimming pool October 31st or so, laying out, tanning, everything else? Maybe. I mean, you may be able to do it in Los Angeles, but it's going to be weird watching a season this late in time. All right. What else do we have on here? Vicky saying, did Mickey really wet his pants during a challenge? Yes, that was the Poised on Ivy competition. I did not compete on that because I was outgoing HOH. And so I wasn't allowed to compete, which probably just as well. That probably would not have been my competition. But yeah, it was a competition where everyone had to hold on to handles for each foot and each hand, and the ropes would go up and down. They got shot with slime and all that. It was only an hour and a half or so long. It wasn't that long of a competition. Holly ended up winning it. Sis was upset because Sis, I think, came in second. She really wanted that. And she kept trying to talk Holly into throwing it. And Holly said, nah, I'm not throwing it. Whoever wins, wins. Sis was not happy. And I was not wanting Sis to win that HOH because I just put up Jack the week before. And I thought, man, if Sis wins this thing, she's going to put me on the block, guaranteed. So I was very much, but you can't say that. I can't be cheering for Holly and not for Sis. So I was very quiet as much as I could. But yeah, Holly ended up winning. I thought maybe I would be safe with them since she had just promised how they wanted to work with me, even though I didn't believe her. But yeah, that was a competition that Mickey, I don't know if he really was that desperate or just showman Mickey just wanting to show how dedicated he was to winning comps. I don't know. He's sitting there doing a Superman pose. Everyone else is just, their arms are shaking and trembling, and he's sitting there, looks like a gymnast with his arms stretched out and his legs behind him, his Superman pose, and just holding the whole time. And finally said, I can't wait any longer. Gotta go. Trust me, we were making sure we avoided his little portion of the mats when we walked out to celebrate and congratulate everyone. But yeah, he amongst other things, that's one of the things that Mickey did during that competition. Yeah. Wow, 7:50. That goes so fast. All right, Mr. Knucklehead. Do you think aliens have visited Earth? If so, could you pick a former Big Brother contestant you think would be best to represent Earth as an ambassador? you could get Kat Dunn and they'd never come back, right? I know she believes in aliens. They'd probably look at her and say, "Oh, y'all are an interesting life form here." Do I believe aliens visited Earth? I don't know. I tell you what I believe. I believe that it is entirely feasible that there is other intelligent life in this amazingly large universe. Yeah, billions and billions of stars, billions and millions of galaxies. The odds say there's some other folks out there, but how do they find us, or vice versa? Two needles in a haystack trying to find each other. So I believe in intelligent life, extraterrestrials. I just don't know if they found us here. And even if they had, would they really want to visit, or would they be like, yeah, we just did a flyby. We're good. Well, we're going to go hang out some other places. We'll let them work out their stuff. And later, if they're flying out amongst the stars, we'll reach out. But for now, let them handle their stuff. I don't know. Who would be the most representative Big Brother guest out there? I don't know if there's anyone who's ever been on Big Brother that would represent the best example of mankind to go back into some other culture or society. How about Sam from season 20? She was a robot for her first week. She was able to handle distant communication and all that. I don't know. 90% of the folks that are on Big Brother, if we're representing the human race in some other society, they're either avoiding us as quickly as they can, or they're sending forces to take us out before we can breed and reproduce, right? One or the other. Yeah, for all I know, they're watching. For all I know, Big Brother is just part of a huge alien conspiracy. They're putting us in the rooms together. They can't put us in zoos. Well, what's the next best thing? Put you in a Big Brother house. Let's see how humans react when they're forced to turn against each other and backstab and betray. And it may be all just a huge psychological experiment of which I've been a part of. For all you know, maybe I'm the alien that's there, the observer, right? I'm 53 years old, but I still have another 500 or 600 years before I consider myself old, in alien terms and all that. I don't know. It's fun to think that. All right, 7:50 now. We're gonna shut down here pretty quick. So many things I never even got a chance to talk about, but we'll do it next week. Keith Franken saying, I'm going on a boat and beach trip and fancy dinner to celebrate us seniors. You need to celebrate. That sounds like a fantastic plan. If you're on a boat, don't jump off and decide that you're going to go swimming with the dolphins or sharks or anything or nothing at all. Stay on the boat. Graduating seniors don't need to be taking on dares from other people. I know you won't do it, but congratulations. All of you who graduations, job changes, take some time out, do some celebrating of your own. If you don't celebrate yourself every once in a while, who else will? I mean, you got to feel good about yourself. Do some celebrating for the graduation. And that sounds pretty good, man. Dinner in a boat. You're living the good life. That sounds pretty good. All right, guys, with that, so much. All right, I'm going to finish up. Being Father's Day or right after, I got to tell a dad joke or two. I did a lot of cameos over the last week for Father's Day. I still do the if you want a cameo, find me and I'll do one. I had a lot of people doing cameos and a lot of them were asking for dad jokes. So I'm going to throw those out at you. We'll shut it down with that. Do you know why the Incredible Hulk is so good at gardening? Because he has a green thumb. Do you know what the buffalo told his son as he was dropping him off at school? Bye, son. Get it? And then finally, when does a regular joke become a dad joke? When the punchline is apparent. That's as good as it gets. I'm surprised the Cameo people didn't want their money back on it. No, I had fun doing them all. I love celebrating mothers. I love celebrating fathers for their special days on it. So we had a blast with it. But yeah, I wanted to throw a couple of Father's Day jokes out there. All right, guys, with that being said, we'll shut it down. A few topics I'll just pick up with next week. And meanwhile, if y'all have any questions or items that you want to talk about next week, send me the DM. I'll put it in my notes. We'll see if we can't get to it. Y'all know me. I tend to ramble. But we'll try to cover it next week. Until then, guys, stay inside, or at least stay hydrated if you're going to be outside, because it's hot. But have a fantastic week. Have a fantastic start of summer on June 21st on Wednesday. Until then, as I said before earlier, please consider going out, subscribing to my channel, turn on notifications. Big old thumbs up is always appreciated. With that, guys, SKD143. Love my wife. Love my kids. Love my mom and dad. Love the reality fans out there. Especially love you guys that spend every Monday night with me. It just makes Monday nights so much fun. So y'all have a great week. I will see y'all next week. Who knows what we'll talk about next week? I got all kinds of things planned. So until then, guys, have a great one. Cheers, my friends.